I would put next to Mother Teresa, kind of, you know. Yeah, I love her, and she was a really good role model for humanity.
Oh, it's actually really sad because she doesn't look sick. Like, she looked perfectly fine. Last time I saw her, so I was like, oh, she still had a few good years left.
I was really shocked because I didn't even know she was unwell, and it was kind of really sudden, and I was like, oh, that's really sad. Yeah.
And Laura, how was the Queen received on the occasion she did visit Tasmania?
Well, the Queen visited Tasmania 7 times overall. In fact, her first visit to Tasmania was supposed to be in 1952 when she was still Princess Elizabeth. But of course, her father died that year, so she had to call off that trip and go back to Britain to be crowned Queen. She did make it to Tasmania a year or so after that and visited 6 times after that occasion. Every time she came to Tasmania, she drew huge crowds wherever she went. We received a note from the Hobart City Council reminiscing about her first visit, which had the biggest crowd gathered in a Tasmanian city since the end of World War II, and did attract a lot of complaints apparently about the traffic congestion it caused. She also got to other parts of Tasmania. In one interesting story, a property owner in northern Tasmania hosted her on his farm, and in fact they sealed all of the roads on the farm before she arrived and built a new suite for her to stay in, which is still there. So she's left quite a mark on Tasmania, and many people here have memories of her visits.
Yeah, and what has Tasmania's Premier had to say today?
Well, the Tasmanian Premier, Jeremy Rockliff, joined together with our Governor, Barbara Baker, this morning to make a statement on the Queen's passing. Premier Rockliff said he really praised her for her selfless duty, the way she had carried out her role throughout her life and the example that she'd set. He was genuinely very downcast when he was saying this, and he admired her a great deal. He also addressed the question of what will happen to Tasmania's Parliament, which is due to sit next week. But as we know, the federal Parliament isn't sitting for some time. Apparently it's been quite a while since the Tasmanian Parliament has had to consider what to do on the occasion of a death of a monarch, so we're still waiting for an update on what the protocol will be.
There's a book somewhere that needs dusting off by the sounds of that, Laura Beavis. Thank you so much.
When the Queen last visited Australia in 2011, she paused to worship at St John's Anglican Church in Canberra. Reporter James Viver spoke with the Reverend who conducted that service.
On Sunday, here at St John's Reid Church in Canberra, there will be special prayers and services for Queen Elizabeth II, but she herself worshipped here more than once. Reverend, it was right here that Her Majesty worshipped.
Yes, she first worshipped in this church in 1954 when she first came to Australia, and then quite obviously the last time she worshipped in this church was in October 2011 when she came to a normal service of worship in this church here. I was very fortunate. I was the officiant at that service, and also I preached the sermon. It was a very special occasion for this church congregation here.
And on that congregation, the church was full when the Queen walked down this aisle here.
It certainly
was. What was that atmosphere like when she attended?
Well, the church was completely full. This is a fairly small church. It seats about 140 people. On the day, we were only allowed 120 guests. The church was completely full, and there was a sense of excitement here to be so close to the Queen, this wonderful person whose life has the span of history that she's had, and very, very special for the congregation here and the worshippers. She's also a lady of faith, and she sat here. One of the things I do know is that she requested that the offering plate come past her, and she reached into her handbag and she put some money in the plate. Some people tried to identify what note it was, but no.
Not that time.
That's right.
I know you spent a few moments with her greeting and
that's right,
bringing her into St John's.
Yes.
Do you have some memories of what you both reflected on?
Yeah, I do. One of the things is there's a long distance between the Lich Gate at St John's Church to the door of the church, and there was hundreds and hundreds of people all gathered around the entrance way, and I walked with her very, very slowly to the door of the church. She chatted the whole way, very much put me at ease. And every now and again, she'd go like this, and there'd be great crowds of cheers and so on and so forth. We just had some new trees planted in the avenue here, and she talked about those trees and trees that she'd planted over the years at Government House.
Reverend, thank you for your time.
You're most welcome. And as I say, people are welcome here on Sunday. Morning services as normal, where there'll be special prayers, and there's a very simple evening service at 5 p.m, where we'll give thanks and praise for the Queen, her life, her story, and the tremendous influence she's been to our world.
Thank you.
And world leaders are paying tribute to Queen Elizabeth today, describing her as more than a monarch. North America correspondent Jade McMillan has more from Washington, DC.
Yeah, if there's a common theme to the tributes that have been coming in from all over the world so far, it's really a deep sense of admiration for a lifetime of service. The US President Joe Biden has visited the British Embassy here in Washington, DC to sign a condolence book, and he told staff there that he is so delighted that he had the opportunity to meet Queen Elizabeth. He is one of 13 US presidents who had the chance to do so. And Joe Biden is the one who said that she was more than a monarch. He said that she defined an era, that in a world of constant change, she was a steadying presence, and that she was a stateswoman of unmatched dignity, that she really strengthened the alliance between the US and the UK. Joe Biden's predecessors have also paid tribute, a rare moment of agreement from former presidents from across the political divide. Everyone from Jimmy Carter through to Donald Trump has expressed sadness at the Queen's passing, and they've reflected not only on her commitment to duty but also on their personal interactions with her. Barack Obama has said that when he and his wife Michelle were first navigating life as President and First Lady, that the Queen welcomed them onto the world stage with open arms and with an extraordinary generosity. Of course, it's not just world leaders, political leaders, foreign dignitaries who are feeling this loss. This news has saddened people all over the world, including here in the United States.
Considering what she did at such a young age, you know, she didn't ask for any of that, but becoming Queen at such a young age, my middle name is Elizabeth, and she was visiting Australia for her 25 years jubilee when I was born, so that's how I get my middle name.
It was really heartbreaking. I feel like in some ways they've been trying to prepare us for that with her retirement, and she was recently hospitalized. But it just, you know, it just feels like an era is moving past us, and that's really sad.
So certainly making an impact on the streets of Washington, DC, Jade. But what about leaders of the Commonwealth? What have they had to say?
Well, again, there's a real sense of sadness. Some leaders are reflecting on the visits that Queen Elizabeth made to their nations. Fiji's Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama has said that people in his country will always treasure the joy of those visits, that her grace, courage and wisdom were an inspiration and a comfort. Other leaders have spoken about her work ethic, that lifetime of service that so many people have remarked upon today. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern thanked Queen Elizabeth for everything that she had done over so many decades.
The last days of the Queen's life captures who she was in so many ways, working till the very end on behalf of the people she loved. And that is why I'm sure that we will receive the news of her passing with both emotions of deep sadness, but also gratitude for a life that was utterly and completely devoted to the service of others.
Other leaders have shared photos and memories of their meetings with Queen Elizabeth. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he will never forget her warmth and kindness, while Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau became really quite emotional as he addressed his country on the Queen's passing.
She was thoughtful, wise, curious, helpful, funny, and so much more. In a complicated world, her steady grace and resolve brought comfort and strength to us all.
So just a small sample there of the tributes that, as I said, have been coming in from all over the world. We'll be hearing more from those leaders and from others in the days ahead.
Papua New Guinea has joined other nations around the world in mourning after the death of Queen Elizabeth II. PNG's Prime Minister James Marape has paid tribute to the late Queen.
To the people of Papua New Guinea, today is once again a very somber and solemn moment. It was 3:30 a.m. this morning. I was following very closely the commentaries that was run on CNN and moving back and forth between BBC, knowing that extraordinary events were unfolding at the place in which the Queen of our country was in rest. It is rather sad that we received news of her passing. And our Governor General, the head of our state, has spoken on behalf of our country. I, on behalf of the government of Papua New Guinea, would likewise offer our deepest sympathy to the Royal Palace, to King Charles III, to the family members, and I join many in the Commonwealth of Nations and her realm to offer Papua New Guinea's sympathy and condolences.
PNG Prime Minister James Marape, of course, Her Majesty was also the head of state of Papua New Guinea. For more than 70 years, the Queen was inseparable from a man that she described as her strength and stay, the late Duke of Edinburgh. Let's take this look back now at the partnership between Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip.
This is the moment which the teeming millions have been awaiting for months.
Take thee, Philip.
Take thee, Philip.
To my wedded husband.
To my wedded husband.
I, Philip, will become your liege man of life and limb, and of earthly worship. In faith and truth I will bear unto you, to live and die, against all manner of folk, so help me God.
Like all families, we went through the full range of pleasures and tribulations of bringing up children. I'm naturally somewhat biased, but I think our children have done rather well under very different and difficult and demanding circumstances. The trouble is that no two marriages are quite alike. However, I think that the main lesson that we've learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when things get difficult. And you can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.